Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here live at Monte Vista High School on a warm day. Joining me is Olivia. Olivia, how are you today?
I am good. Very hot. It is about 104 degrees here, but you know what? It's always a good day with the dads.
Another day with the dads, the Walnut Creek Crawdads hosting the Alameda Merchants here at Monte Vista High School. 104 degrees here on game day. Crawdads enter this game 14 and 6, first in the CCL North Conference standings, with the Merchants entering this game last in the CCL North in that sixth seed with a 5 and 12 record. So definitely a tale of two different teams right here. The Crawdads' last game was a disappointment, really. They lost, snapped a 7-game win streak to a loss to the Sonoma Stompers, 4-1. The Crawdads still sit atop of the conference. They're ahead of the 11-9 Sonoma Stompers, but nonetheless, Stompers inching one game closer to that one seed. Now just 3 games back. And Olivia, tell us a little more about this Merchants team. Who are we going to face today?
Well, the Merchants haven't played a game in just about 6 days. Their last game was June 30th, and they're actually coming off a win to the San Francisco Seagulls, who are fifth in the lead, just ahead of the Merchants. It was a very short game, just about 2 hours and 10 minutes, and the Merchants offensively produced with 12 hits, so something was definitely working for them. Overall, their stats might not have looked great, but I think if we were able to see that game in person, it would have been different. It would have shown, kind of something that wasn't really reflective of their record per se. The momentum seemed to be in the Merchants' favor, with their offense moving very shifty. They had many steals throughout the game, which allowed runners to be in more optimal positions, so they could score in opportunities such as groundouts or pop-ups, which is how they got their runs. The Seagulls were up 4-0 in the fourth inning. They got all their runs in one inning, and the Merchants were able to come back late in the game in the sixth, seventh, and eighth inning to tie and then eventually pull ahead.
Speaking of opportunities too and pulling ahead, the Crawdads are hosting this team once more. The third time they're hosting the Alameda Merchants. Uh, it's kind of been again a tale of two different stories here for the teams, and you can kind of see their record reflects the last two times these teams have met. The first two times these teams faced one another, simply put, the Crawdads won in dominating fashion. June 8th, the home game in the third game of the regular season, the Crawdads won 17-1. June 15th at home, the Crawdads won 12-3. The teams will face one another 4 more times this season. 3 of those, which will be this week, starting tomorrow, Sunday, July 7th, Wednesday, July 10th, and Thursday, July 11th. One more time later in the season on July 23rd, the Merchants will host the remaining matchups between these two, which may change the outcome of those games, but we never know. But so far, it's the Crawdads that have definitely owned this series. Olivia, so I wanted to ask you, you were at that game yesterday at the Sonoma Stompers game. The Crawdads, again, falling to the Stompers 4-1. The loss snapped a 7-game win streak. What were your takeaways from the Crawdads' loss yesterday?
It was tough to see the dads fall to a team that we just beat this past Tuesday. It looked like from our offense, there was a little bit of sloppiness that we may not have seen from the dads this past season. Maybe a lack of command from Yasa on the mound, even though he did pitch a great inning, or 5 innings, actually. It was a tough night for the offense as well. We had 9 hits, but only one run. And the players couldn't capitalize on the mound, or excuse me, at bat when runners were on the bases. There were a lot of singles, but lack of RBIs, which we've seen from our players. They had not that bad of a performance. I think it wasn't necessarily that the dads were off. And they were a little off, but not that they were completely off. It was just that the Stompers had a great performance. The Stompers played both July 3rd and 4th, which are 2 days that the dads had off. So we were coming in from a break. The Stompers were coming off from 2 dominant wins. They won 16-1 versus the Legends, known to be a pretty good team, sitting second at the division. And then they won 4-1 against the Seagulls. So they were coming off a high, and they played fantastic last night. So, even though the dads might have been a little off, credit to the Stompers. They played a great game.
Yeah, it just seemed like the recipe for the Crawdads, whether it's that 7-game win streak or the win streak they went on before they lost to the Legends. The biggest thing that stuck out to me was how hot they started games off. They started games off early on the scoreboard, early with runs. This game, they didn't really muster their first run until later on in the game, and that kind of, like you said, with the different variables, right? Not playing for multiple days, the team that they're facing playing multiple games. When you're off, especially when you're not in rhythm, you could see that really affected the Crawdads, and really it was their opponent, the Sonoma Stompers, taking a page out of the Crawdads book, getting on the scoreboard early, or at least earlier, with that one run. And then they had a fury of runs in the fifth inning where they had three, which is usually the Crawdads' recipe to wins, which is starting games off early and then having a cluster of runs and scores, in the middle of the game or in one particular inning. So it just seemed like the Crawdads were what could go wrong, went wrong, essentially. Olivia, I had to ask you, despite the loss, though, you said that there was one player on this Crawdad team that you walked away with some positivity. Who is that?
I definitely have to say Braden Barnes. He came in to relieve Carson Yasa in the fifth inning, ended up pitching two and a third inning, something like that. But he came in, the Dads were still down. We were down all game, but he still showed a very strong mental fortitude, and his stats were pretty good. He allowed 0 hits, 0 runs, only 1 walk, and had 3 strikeouts just in the few innings that he pitched. Previous to this, he's pitched 8.2 innings. Of 1 run ball over his last 2 outings against the Legends. So, I mean, he was really good coming into a game where the Crawdads might not have, came out victorious. He still stuck out to me.
Yep. And speaking of sticking out, we're going to go through the lineup, the batting order here for your Walnut Creek Crawdads. Starting off, the batting order is Casey Cummings at center field, second Cam Calvillo at third base, Mark Wahlberg at right field, fourth Isaiah Walker at second base, something we've seen quite a bit this season with Walker at second base, Ethan Liao at left field, Jackson Bird, who had a great game just last week here at Monte Vista, designated hitter here, Nico Aspilcueta at first base, eighth here, Nico DeFazio at shortstop, and ninth, Xavier Rios, who will be playing catcher, and then Jackson Pace, who we'll have more on, will be taking the mound here for the Crawdads. Something that I took note of, even though we've seen some familiar faces, seen some familiar names here on this lineup constantly, the one name that I didn't see, Cole Kosciuszko, is not in the batting order today, which is notable considering he is one of the team's better hitters, especially after they struggled last night. You know, despite having 9 hits, they struggled getting some runs on the scoreboard. So pretty interesting to see that they're not going to have him. But I think having Liao back will definitely be a big boost for them. Well, Olivia, you want to take us through our pitching matchup for today? Who do we have?
So, as Amar just said, for the Crawdads, we have Jackson Pace pitching, a current student of Oregon, just like myself.
Go
So go
Ducks.
Ducks. Little shout out there. He is 6'5", 235 pounds. He's a righty. He has only 2 appearances this summer with a 7.71 ERA. And 2.1 IPs with 5 Ks and 2 walks. His last appearance was against the Legends on June 28th on the road with their 11-5 win. And he only allowed 2 runs that game, which was really good. So I'm excited to see him play again. And then for the Merchants, we have David Thomas, who is 6'4", 220 pounds from Brentwood, California, and he is currently attending St. Mary's. He has 4 appearances on the summer, so double what Pace is coming in with today. His last appearance was against the Seagulls on June 15th with a 3.2 IP, 1 error, 8 Ks, 1 walk, and 1 hit in that game. And yeah, he's been very dominant as well, so it's going to be interesting to see how our batters in our lineup match up against him today.
And just real quick, just adding on to what you were saying about Jackson Pace, again, that ERA definitely stands out. 7.71 ERA, definitely not ideal. Again, notable to take note that he's only been, had 2 appearances this summer. So definitely going to be a good bounce back performance, a good bounce back game for him, especially in a team that is looking to bounce back from a tough loss yesterday. So going to be interesting to see there. And yeah, with that being said, Olivia and I had the opportunity to speak to Ethan Liao and Cam Calvillo about their approach for this game. Here, take a listen.
Game as a team? Well, I feel like we pitched pretty good, and we hit really good. Like, we out-hit them 9-5, and our pitching staff only gave up 5 runs. It was just free bases and then pass balls, which are all in our control, so that's something I'm really confident our team can get by and just get back on track. And it does suck that we lost, but I feel like we played overall an okay game, so I think we can definitely bounce back here.
Yeah, we got started yesterday. We got our hits in a lot of 2-out situations, so it was kind of hard to get runners in. So I think if we get some guys on early in the innings, we'll have some success.
Seems to be a trend here with these players for the Crawdads, win or loss, having optimism. You see both players talk about that, having that confidence that they can bounce back and that those mistakes that they made, despite, being, pretty tough, pretty bad, easy to come back from. Olivia, what were your takeaways from both Ethan and Cam?
I agree wholeheartedly. I love their positive attitude coming into this game. And they said later on as well that even though the Merchants don't have a shining record, when we asked them how they prepare for this game, they said no differently than any others. No matter what team they're going up against, specifically Cam Calvillo said, baseball is just a crazy game like that. You never know what's going to happen. You never know how the pitcher's going to throw on that mound. You never know how the batting line's going to go, how people are going to swing. So I really, really respect their mentality coming into each game. Like, it's just a new day. Doesn't matter the records. And yeah, I think that makes for a great game.
And with that being said, it is almost time for our new game here for the Walnut Creek Crawdads as they take on the Alameda Merchants here. Again, quickly and shortly. And Olivia, any last minute thoughts?
No, I gotta go drink water. It is so
Alrighty.
hot here.
Awesome. Alrighty. Well, I'm getting ready for this game. I know you guys are. So, for joining us for another pregame show here live from Monte Vista High School. I'm Marcon with Olivia. We will be giving it to Carson now. Bye.